Hello and welcome to my long-awaited Salamangreat Fire King Combo guide. In this video, I'll be going over a couple of the basic combo lines, as well as doing a couple of full test hands, as this deck can be very non-linear and adaptable to what you open or draw into. Here you'll see my current build that I'll be using for this video. Most of it's the same as my previous video, but there are a couple changes and I'll go over some of those now. Snake Eye Ash being added to the main deck at 1 copy is probably the biggest change, allowing you to get access to another body by searching Salamangreat Mole, or allowing you another way to search for Ponix if you don't need your normal summon or have a way to get into Ponix otherwise. Other than that, the deck has just been refined with a bit cleaner overall non-engine loadout, though I want to see if I can fit space for triple tactics talent. The list is sitting at 43 cards, but can easily go down to 40 by trimming out crossout, a couple hand traps, and a little bit of engine. But I'm still pretty comfortable with my ratios of 43 cards. The percentages are still pretty good for opening starters and just opening playable hands. But let's move on to the basic combos. First, we have the 1-card Salamangreat line. This line unfortunately does not have any bridge into the Fire King side of the deck, but still ends on a pretty standard Raging Phoenix, Roar, with a Promethean Princess, Balinx, and a second Raging Phoenix engrave with tons of follow-up. Unfortunately, the 1-card combo does fully lose to a well-timed Nibiru, but one more extender with Gazelle, or any of its replacements, allows you to play pretty comfortably through a Nibiru by using that extender instead of Weasel, and saving your Sanctuary relink for Raging Phoenix, utilizing the Weasel after you get Nibiru to still amass a board with interruptions. So, where we're at here, the Weasel's triggering, summoning the Salamangreat of Fire to your opponent's field, allowing you to trigger Promethean Princess, and then using Balinx to protect your own Raging Phoenix to be able to relink with the Princess and the Raging Phoenix into another Raging Phoenix. The next combo is with Diabellstar plus Gazelle. I'm using the most optimal version of this as a pure 2-card combo with Circle and Wanted, but Signet Mining or Gazelle can be better depending on your hand, and opening Diabellstar instead of Wanted just leads to no free draw 1. This line ends on the same Raging Phoenix plus Roar on board, but with an Arvata Negate on top of that, as well as the same graveyard as the 1-card combo, with a Garunix engrave as well. So here we're going through the standard plays with Diabellstar, summoning Ponix, allowing us to trigger Sunlight Wolf to get Gazelle back to hand. This will allow us to get our island on field. The island on field doesn't really matter, and only serves as a bait for the opponent to pop it, as destroying it will trigger Raging Phoenix, Arvata, and Garunix to get your entire board back with the Garunix and a non-targeting pop 1 from Kirin. With only the 2-card combo, starting with Salamangreat side works better, but depending on the rest of your hand, starting with Diabellstar on the Fire King side might lead to a safer path to your end board, and can work to bait out any interruptions. So we're back to triggering Weasel, summoning the monster to your opponent's field, triggering Promethean again, and then going with the same thing as in the first combo, getting us to our Roar, and finishing off the end board with our Roar Arvata, a draw 1 off of our Wanted, and the rest of our interruption in the graveyard. Finally, we had the full test hands. For the first hand, I opened Snake Eye Ash, Called by the Grave, Double Gazelle, and Kirin. Normal summoning Snake Eye Ash is the safest play, as Called by and Kirin prevent almost any hand trap from affecting it, allowing for a search for Ponix. Without Called by or Kirin, going with the Salamangreat side is slightly safer, but would still lose to an early hand trap. Next, Kirin destroys one of the Gazelles to trigger the Ponix in my hand to get a search for Sanctuary. Destroying the Gazelle here isn't really the best because I'd rather not give my opponent knowledge that I'm playing Salamangreats, but unfortunately it is the best thing you can do to keep as many bodies on board as possible. Sanctuary places Fire King Island, which will pop the Ponix to search for Garunix. Garunix pops Arvata from deck to get Ponix back to field. Then you make Sunlight Wolf to make Princess, then trigger the other Gazelle in hand. Gazelle triggers here because Sunlight Wolf is a Salamangreat name, and it being sent to graveyard fulfills the conditions for Gazelle to be summoned. Then we go with the standard Salamangreat line until I summon Sunlight Wolf. Going into Mirage Stalio, activating it, summoning Salamangreat Fire, adding Salamangreat Weasel to our hand, then linking off Salamangreat Fire into our Balings. Balings has to search for the field spell. Then we're able to link those two off into another Sunlight Wolf. I misplay here a little bit by not using Princess's effect, saving the Weasel, going into Raging Phoenix, then placing Sanctuary to destroy Kieran, and Bale protecting my Phoenix to summon back Arvata, and getting to the same end board, but without Island on field. I also forget to trigger Sunlight Wolf, which can happen, so make sure to remember your Sunlight Wolf triggers. But for the rest of the combo, we're going through the standard motions. Since Kieran was popped, we're able to summon out our Arvata back from grave, then we're able to go into the second Raging Phoenix, getting the Roar to my hand. This allowing us to end on Roar, Arvata, Raging Phoenix, Promethean Princess, Garunix, and a Mourner, and the Called by the Grave, if I don't have to use it. For the second test hand, I open Crossout, Kieran, Mourner, Ponix, and Circle. I circle in draw phase to play around Droll, then normal summon Ponix. Normal summoning Ponix here is better because then we can link it off into Almirage to get access to Gazelle. You can actually go with the Salamangreat combo from earlier as well first, summoning Ponix on the destruction of Raging Phoenix, but here I go for the Island, linking off Ponix into Almirage, then popping Almirage with Island, allowing for Gazelle to trigger. This leads to the standard Salad line. The reason I didn't summon Garunix here though is because Garunix on its own can't get to another destroyed Salad name, and I wanted to save Kieran for the potential of an Imperm on Stalio. And we go into that Stalio, continuing with our standard line, going into Salamangreat of Fire, getting our search through the deck for Salamangreat Weasel. Then we link off our Salamangreat of Fire into Balinx, getting our Salamangreat field spell to hand. Then we are able to link those two off into a Sunlight Wolf. We can then summon the Weasel in hand, getting the trigger on Sunlight Wolf to get our Gazelle back to hand, and then continuing our combo from here, going into a second Balinx for insurance on the next turn. Then we go into our Promethean Princess, which we will then use to bring back a Spinny. Those two go into a Raging Phoenix. Then we do what I should have done last time, swapping out the field spells, but I completely forget to search for Roar, so that should just be there. Then we're able to trigger Weasel off of the relink, getting to Princess and setting up the final end board, minus the Roar I forgot. So we're able to trigger our Garunix now that the Raging Phoenix was destroyed, while also being able to get Raging Phoenix back. Garunix will be able to destroy the Arvata from deck, keeping the Arvata in graveyard, getting a Ponix back, allowing us to go into Ambler Whale, and then getting a Ponix destruction in end phase to get it back for another body. Well, that's it for my combo tutorial for Snake Eye Fire King. If you're trying to learn this deck yourself, I recommend starting with the basic combos, then seeing what other cards you can start with and just experimenting. Record your games if possible and try to see where you could have improved, because I didn't even realize I didn't search for Roar until I looked back at the footage. Some things you just don't notice until you look back at it. I apologize this video isn't as in-depth as some of you might have hoped, but as I was making it, I kept realizing that it's hard to show off a lot of these combos without the video being like an hour long. So I hope these tips can help you find out how to feel comfortable using the deck. As always, if you have any questions or feedback, make sure to leave it in the comment section below, and leave a like if you learned something. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.